Hey guys, I'm Jason Busef, and this is another episode of my series called Lego My Ego. Now, today's episode is called The Real Slim Shady. You guys remember the Eminem music video, The Real Slim Shady? He's like in a room with a bunch of other people who look and dress just like him, down to the bleach blonde hair, and they're all like standing up when he says, "With Real Slim Shady, please stand up." They all stand up, and it's meant to be funny, because it shows how, individuality is usually lost sometimes in favor of what is cool or popular. Public icons will gain a certain amount of fame and notoriety, and other people think if they mimic them and copy their likeness or display their attitudes or same behavior, that they'll gain that same kind of like applause and admiration, right? That recognition and that feeds our ego, right? So that's why people often do that, and Eminem makes fun of it in that video. But really, it's pretty close to human nature and how we are, And the reason why this is bad though is because this produces a bunch of like shallow imitations of people who care more about fitting a mold or like following a trend than they do about expressing or exploring their own uniqueness and individuality. Before I get any further, I just want you guys to know that this is not like a video on like nonconformity. That's not what I'm preaching here. Only like angry teenagers who want to seem cool and rebellious preach nonconformity. A realistic adult, mature adult as I am now, I know that conformity is fine. When you find certain groups and communities where you feel like you're at home and you're belonging and you feel like they help you become a better person, they teach good morals and principles and values. A lot of us, like me especially, like I need structure. I need to be disciplined, not from others, but like self-discipline, right? And I need people to hold me accountable sometimes, and also call out certain things to me, and like sometimes our really good friends will be like, "Bro, you're right here and you need to be up here and you can be there." And they encourage you to grow in certain parts of you, right? And that's good. And we wouldn't have that if we didn't find groups that, hit home with us. The message hits home. Basically, what I'm preaching is don't be a poser, really. You want to join something like these groups or community because the message really hits home, right? Not because it looks cool, because it feels validation, or you feel like it feels your approval, or your ego gives you a sense of value or worth or identity. Although a lot of us can find good, healthy identities through these groups, religious bodies, AA, whatever it may be. There's lots, right? As long as they're not harmful to others. So, um, yeah, right. So our ego tends to lead towards conformity, though, because it seeks social validation and acceptance. And what sucks, though, is like what's scary is like if we continue with this, we usually suppress our deeper values and take on the beliefs of the group. And of course, the group meets us with approval and our ego, and this helps us feel accepted. So, what was the next part? All right, cool. This can lead to a loss of individuality and creativity, especially if our ego becomes too reliant upon this kind of attention and validation, right? And it's hard for it to find its own sense of worth or identity. We will get discouraged sometimes if we don't do things that the group approves of sometimes, rather than what we truly believe. So sometimes we'll silence genuine self-expression and from ourselves, because we're afraid of disapproval from the group or rejection. And so you got to find your group, you got to find your tribe. And a lot of times you'll know because your values, it won't feel right, and oftentimes like, if you ever if you ever did something, join a group or a clique or whatever, because, you thought it was cool, you wanted to fit in, and, it fed the ego a little bit. It gave you status, maybe, right? A lot of things like that. Um, but you really know, like at home, in your heart, like something's off, something's not right. I cooked it. Really quick story. I kicked it with these guys when I was like first in high school, and they were cool. They were cool, man, and I wanted to kick it with them. And one day they're making fun of this other kid though, and he was a dorky looking guy, very timid. He didn't want any problems. But you could tell that this wasn't joking like out of fun. Like they were saying pretty mean stuff. It was mean spirited, and I could look at the kid's face and I could tell that it hurt, and I told that it bugged him. But I laughed along with him. I didn't say anything, but that didn't really matter, right? Because I didn't speak up, and I felt like I should have, and I didn't. And it bugged me, man, and it bugged me. And I realized later it's because like I'm not that kind of person. I'm not the kind of person who can do that kind of thing, push people down in order to feel good for himself. I don't find humor in that, and I don't find like strength in that. I don't find anything, especially when the kid won't fight or stick up for himself. Um, and I'm not saying I'm better than those guys. I mean, they were kids too. We're all in high school. Kids say mean stuff to each other. But still, I knew that like that was not like, the kind of man I could be. That's not the kind of man I am. That value later grew over time, matured, right, refined, and now it's like, okay, I can't sit back and even be quiet. Like if I see somebody who can't speak up for themselves, I have to be someone who speaks up for them. When I see like bullying, I guess you could say, yeah, bullying, or like just picking on something, doing something like that, and especially when they won't speak up for themselves, that just bugs me. And I gotta speak out to it now. Now I have to take on a problem that's not my problem to begin with. But at the end of the day, I feel good about it because I'm like, well, this is the kind of man I'm supposed to be, right? And you'll feel that too. Um, Again, though, like I lived most of my life as a selfish, like piece of shit. So, pleasure seeking, like gluttonous man. I still kind of am. So I just wanted to make you guys sure, like I'm not trying to be like, oh, Justin's so great. He's what a valued guy, like what a great integrity and stuff. Like, no, not at all. I'm a dirtbag. What I'm just trying to say is though, like you'll know, right? I guess I'm dragging this on more longer than it has to. Make sure you do these things from genuine connection because it really hits home. Be authentic about it. Make sure it's a group that where you can be authentic in, not where you have to put on a face to even be into the group, put on a mask even to be in it. You can't even operate in it legitimately. You have to be in character the whole time. That sucks, bro. So that's all I gotta say. Don't be a real Slim Shady. Be a real you. Good night.